everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's 2022 tournament game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 40. Hope you know that I was recording all of that.
Oh.
All of it. The only thing is when you're facing that direction, we can't always like hear you on the camera, so I don't think I got all of it, but anyways. How's it going, everybody? It's turn 40. We got some stuff going on. We got a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and kick things off with some incoming trade. Oof. That's some 30 death gems from Vanheim. Or should I call them dirty death gems from Vanheim? We have been bought off, fam. We'll talk about this more at length, but this is part of the negotiated payment or settlement that we arrived to with Vanheim between the course of, well, at the end of the last turn, basically. So that's going to be a big topic, or the main topic for this turn, so we'll talk about that at length here in just a little bit. Before that, though, we did horror specs, found nothing, and we got a couple of battles. So we got attacked in Underhome by Van. Motherfucker bought the goddamn the fucking shit. What are they called? Oh, no. I'm not gonna look it up. I know it. Fuck, I'm blanking. I can't remember their name. They're like the best freaking mercenaries. They're amazing. Because they hit like fucking trucks. And they're very strong. I cannot remember their fucking name. What are they called? The Shipwreckers. Fuck me. Damn it. Yeah, so Vanheim purchased the Shipwreckers and sent it against Underhome. So, you know. I'm going to look at this in the route of, we killed a Vanadrot for Underhome, so now Vanheim has spent even more money for this fucking province. So there's that. We attacked in Packwoods. This is a whole group of, a whole army basically, as well as some Huron priests. I didn't really go over what we were doing last turn in the armies. But we'll see this here. So what we have is a little cluster of Huron priests here that are buffing each other, right? So we've got a body ethereal that comes in, and then we've got an actual like army led by an Apu that also has a backup, or led by an Inca that has a backup Apu, I believe. So we're up against basically nothing here. So there's no big deal. We might as well look at like what these guys are doing. They kind of like Temper Flesh, do some stuff, Iron Skin, Flying Shield. They basically just buff themselves up, and then the idea is that they're gonna do some Horde of Skeletons. But we route the whole place before we get there. Oh, there's also there's 3 Huron priests here. One of the Huron priests is with the Inca to do Strength of Giants on the army, right? The others are gonna be raiders. So there's that. So we win in Packwoods. We get attacked in Noranthian by a group of Van. And they're gonna shred our stuff, so no big deal. Yep. Assuming no losses. Yep, no losses. This is what we would face if we were actually fighting Van. Every single province would be this, basically every turn. And then we attacked in Old Man Mountains. And this is our, again, our little duo scenario. So we have a Astral Huron Priest, and we have a Air Mage. The Astral is the important one, right? Because the Astral means we can do Body Ethereal. So, gonna do, basically, let's see what we're up against. Just 6 PD. Body Ethereal, Iron Skin, Blessing, Temper Flesh, Flying Shield, Iron Skin, Hordes of Skeletons start to come out. Problem with all of these buffs is that we really only get one Horde of Skeletons out before from each of them before they fatigue out. But they do unfatigue relatively quickly, and they are very difficult to kill in this kind of like time period. So, you know, this works pretty easily against 6 PD or more. 10 to 11 PD, but it does run into big problems with anything further than that. So the Huron Priests are interesting raiders, but they're not always the best raiders. They are typically fairly safe in teams of 2, but they are very vulnerable by themselves. So that was battles for the turn versus Vanheim. 2 wins and 2 losses. But they weren't really 2 wins and 2 losses. They were really just 2 wins. Because the attacks from Vanheim are fake raids that we are going to counter raid easily against. And then the attacks against Vanheim were actually us taking prescribed territory from Vanheim. So, I don't know. I think I am going to report them as losses, right? Because we did lose PD there. We are going to have to spend time taking it back, etc., etc. But I'm just explaining the situation. You get what I'm saying. Let's watch. We also got to witness 2 battles between Ulm and Vanheim. So Van attacked Ulm on the Green Coast. Another little stack of Vans. And this is a little stack of infantry. Probably going to do just fine here. Van, that is. Anything on this? Nope. Ooh, pop the glamour. Oh, did they actually get one? What? Holy shit. The crossbowmen popping the glamour, that's a big deal. Don't know that they're gonna actually... Oh, yeah, they routed off. Wow, okay. Vanheim attacked Ulm, but was defeated by this PD. So that's a very interesting situation there. The Vans having their glamour popped by the crossbows, and then actually a couple hits coming in from the infantries of Ulm. That's a very, very big deal. I mean, it's only a loss of 2 Vans, but 2 Vans is, you know, this adds up. This adds up. So they're very interesting. Ulm also attacked in Larian Swamps. Okay, so this is an actual, like, little army. Little army. Couple of sappers here. Bunch of black plate. And this is what we expect to see all over the place from Ulm. Just stacks of, like, 50 black plate and this scenario of, like, you gotta answer me, right? Like, you've got to send something to actually deal with this, because this is gonna crush any PD that you throw out. I mean, even if Van put, like, 30 or 40 PD in a province like this, I mean, it's black plate, right? So, like, without support, that PD is probably going to get destroyed. So, Ulm wins in both locations. Very interesting. Very cool. Let's continue onward, shall we? We've got some events for the turn. I say some events for the turn. We have a single event for the turn, and it's negative. We have one negative event this turn. In Packwoods, we gained 40 unrest. So that's unfortunate. We have had a pretty good run of it, though, with good events. So, you know, I'm not going to cry over the fact that we got 1 negative event. What I'm more upset about is the fact that we only got 1 event this turn. It would have been fine if we got, like, a negative event and 2 positive events, but only getting 1 event and it being negative is sad panda. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much all we got going on from the last turn. We got a bunch of movements this turn. Let's go ahead and talk about things. I'm going to move this up here because I think this is the big thing to talk about. We made a deal with Ulm. Or, not Ulm, Vanheim. We made a deal with Vanheim. So, we organized a coalition against Vanheim, and then the turn that coalition fired, we backed out of the coalition. We have made an agreement to Vanheim. We are getting a payoff of 40 death gems, 30 of which we have received this turn, and then we will be receiving death gems basically every turn until we get up to 40. So the 40 death gems is because, one, that was something that Vanheim had that they could pay us, could afford to pay us. And two, I think we want to make a play for Well of Misery to kind of like be one of the things that we're looking at for the actual mid to late game. Or late game, we're already in the mid game. So that's a kind of like foot in that direction. So that's our payoff, right? We have been greenlit to basically take everything from here onwards, right? So Amul, Thornwoods, I think even Trackless Waste is technically on the table, right? Basically just not the Mighty Pillars. This is what we haggled over for a very long time, was me wanting the Mighty Pillars back and Vanheim just refusing, basically. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is at the end of the day. We have free reign to take whatever we can get from the Ashdod territory. And then we have an agreement to do raiding with each other continuously at only pre-approved provinces throughout the rest of this faux war to keep the semblance that we are at war, right? And again, we talked, I think, last turn about what our big hope would be there, right? Is we take a bunch of this land, Ulm takes some of the land and takes maybe a Ashdod, or maybe we get lucky and we take Ashdod, but probably Ulm takes Ashdod. And then Jotunheim takes the northern portion of Vanheim, Ulm takes the southern portion of Vanheim, and slowly but surely they squeeze down Van's forces, and Van then releases us from the agreement that we have, and we are able to take maybe like one or two more eastern provinces from Van. So that's kind of like the what we hope happens kind of goal. At the very least, what we are getting out of this is a big payoff in death gems, safety from Van, and the ability to increase our territory by taking whatever we can of Ashdod. Now, Ashdod obviously is not going to be happy that we're taking their former territory and probably going to fight us over it. But hopefully we can deal with that now. Right? Like, fingers crossed that we can deal with that now. The thing to really report here, though, I think from a diplomatic standpoint, so diplomacy, is that we now have a turn 45 nap 6 with Vanheim that has a 4-throne threshold on it. So what does that actually mean? So, as a part of this negotiation, we established that we have a nap 6, right? That nap, because, you know, obviously, if we were going to be truly Machiavellian about this and we had a nap 3, we could just be like, great, we do this. I end our nap, right? like that would just be evil. But the nap 6 is there to prevent us from doing something like that, right? If we're going to break a nap, it's going to be or either side, right, in fairness. But this is specifically more designed to protect Vanheim than it is to protect us. But it still does protect us. But nap 6 is a long nap, very, very long nap, especially for this late in the game. Turn 45 is a set, like a time release, basically, right? Neither side can end the nap before turn 45, thus allowing Vanheim time to defend itself against Ulm and Jotunheim before I could potentially come in. And this is important for me, time for me to be able to take Ashdod territory. So, in theory, if we ended the nap on turn 45, the soonest we could attack would be turn 51, right? So that gives both sides basically 11 turns of peace from one another. The only caveat to this scenario being that if either side ends up with 4 thrones before that, the nap is immediately annulled, right? So 4 throne threshold means that either side can do whatever the fuck they want. So that is the diplomatic agreement. 40 death gems is the payoff. Free reign to be able to take all of the Ashdod territory, as well as Old Man Mountains. Basically, the line of scrimmages is that this border remains and Vanheim keeps Mighty Pillars. Everything else is fair game. And that's how we're operating this whole turn. So, with that being the concept, we are moving. We have so much mobility right now. We haven't had this much movement in half a dozen turns or more, right? So we are counter-raiding in a number of locations. We are moving some Huron priests around just to have more mobility options, etc., etc. We are splitting up some of our forces, and I actually think that this is potentially a bad idea. I talked at the beginning of this turn when we were watching the videos about how Huron priests tend to do okay in little groups of 2, but that they can kind of get a little fucked on if they're by themselves. It just kind of depends. It's kind of a random crapshoot. We're taking that risk, right? Because we are attacking into Pavonia with just a single Huron priest. We are attacking into Illidar with just a single Huron priest. And we are attacking into Durandine, or Dutrandine Expanse. Dutrandine Expanse. I don't know. This is where we're sending our actual stack, our actual army, right? So there's that. This should be one PD, right? So this should be no big deal. We're not going to take Underhome back immediately, but we will be getting that back eventually. It's not that important of a province at the moment. So the hope is we're going to get raided in 2 places next turn. I believe Forest of Pine, and then I think Ironwood Forest is the next place, or it might be Royal Green. I can't remember. And then hopefully we will have Illidar and Pavonia. It is possible, right, that Ashdod is going to come out swinging and we will get bumped in Pavonia, which would be annoying, but it is entirely possible. It is also possible that Pelagia comes for Illidar, because they've talked to us in the past about trying to take Illidar from Vanheim. I would prefer that not happen. I would prefer there not be a whole bunch of Pelagian forts on my fucking coast. But, and that is why we're going for it sooner rather than later. But if Pelagia sends any sizable force, then we're potentially probably going to get slapped there. To my understanding, there is not much here in Dutrandine. Both from a Vanheim perspective, there's basically just a single individual here, just a scout. And then there's not much inside the fortress either. It's just Van was way more focused on locking down Ashdod than they were locking down or taking this fortress, right? So Van does have a little bit of an issue with popping fortifications. So that's kind of the limiting factor there. So our goal is going to be to try to take as much of this southern territory as we can. Right now, we're going to be focused on this eastern portion. And part of the reason why we're focusing very specifically rather than spreading out everywhere is because I'm expecting Ashdod to be like all of their fucking cap circle this turn. And I kind of want to see where they're going. And I'm trying to not just throw myself into a bunch of giants and get killed. Right? So there's that situation. We are trying to get more scouts in the Jotunheim, Vanheim, Ulmish area so that we can kind of see what's going on as far as the battles go. But that's going to take us a little bit of time. And that's pretty much it as far as movements, diplomacy, etc., all that good stuff. So let's talk about more specific mechanical things. We're going to go for recruitment this turn. So recruitment, we are doing 2 Akla, 2 Apu, and 4 Sun Guard. So very low on the recruitment because we're broke. Yet another reason why I feel compelled to do this agreement is because we need more territory. We need some good territory, and we need it bad. Our income is horrendous. Our upkeep is horrendous. We have no growth scales, which was a very, very bad idea in the long run. But it is what it is, so we're going to try to make the best of it. And yeah, that is an issue. So every turn is kind of just scraped together. A lot of times it turns into a, did we get gold events? No? Well then, we're poor. We're scraping by, right? So I don't know that I will ever do this again. I know from like mathematical experience, right? Like if you're planning on your game being short, then technically order or productivity will give you more money, or your temperature scales will give you more money in the short term than growth will. But growth is the scaling scale, right? At this point, if we had growth 3 rather than luck 3, we'd have quite a bit more from an economy standpoint. So it's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Okay, other things we've got going on. We've got some Nazcan recruits. Boom. The Nazcan recruits 31 Hatan Runa, 2 Supaya, and we have 1 Summon Condors firing this turn. So another 15 Condors. Just trying to add more to our power projection there. Special recruits, we got 3 Wolves. Woo. Continuing to just add in to our power projection there. Power projection? Wolves? What? We're just getting more raiders. It is what it is. And then from a ritual standpoint, aside from the Summon Condors, obviously the only thing we have going on is a single Heart Respects. So, got that. I want to talk a little bit about what we are doing this turn in regards to research. So we are going to have Enchantment 6 done this turn. Enchantment 6 is still a very, very big deal for us, though it may be less of a big deal because we're no longer concerned about the whole Rigor Mortis play against Vanheim. Still very important for us for a number of different factors, but the most specific factor is this Riches from Beneath. We are going to try to put up Riches from Beneath because I think it is one of the only ways that we have to really be able to do something for our economy. However, we cannot immediately do that. So we're going to have Riches from Beneath next turn, but we won't be able to immediately put it up. We don't have enough Earth Gems. So one of the things that we're going to have to do is store up some Earth Gems over the course of the next couple turns. And then we are also going to have to make some items because we don't have the capability of doing Earth 5 yet, right? So Riches from Beneath is Earth 5. Our highest Earth caster is a Earth 3. So either our god or this Koya at Earth 3. I guess technically Pachacuti is already Earth 3, so he's also a technical one. We're probably going to cast this with our god, though. Put Earth Boots on, we're Earth 4, and then put on a Bloodstone. So Bloodstone we can get at Construction 4, so we're going to finish up Enchantment 6 next turn, which gets us access to Riches from Beneath. The following turn, we're going to make... we are going to complete Construction 4, I believe. So I think next turn we will do 6, 1, 2, and 3. The following turn we will do Construction 4. That following turn, we will do a Bloodstone, and I'm hoping that with the income that we have, and if we get lucky from events, the turn after that, we'll be able to throw up riches from beneath. I've been doing like math calculations for what riches will actually get us. Obviously it is not nearly as much as if we were a resource scaled nation. However, it is quite a bit more than what we have right now. So I absolutely think that it is worthwhile for us in the long run. Especially since we have a couple of mines, and those mines can be a very big deal. But we have to have our dominion in places for us to be getting things out of it. So we are going to try to start working on that as best we can. But yeah, I think that is mostly it. That's kind of like the generalized game plan of what we're doing for research. That is the generalized game plan, or the answer of what's going on with the Vanheim conflict. I feel bad. I do feel bad. I do absolutely feel bad for skipping out on the coalition. But I do still think that it is the right move. If I want to stay in the game and actually have a chance of coming out the other side, like being the winner, I do think that this is the move for us, right? It allows us more time to get our feet under us. It gives us the opportunity to grab land. It gives us, hopefully, perfect world, Vanheim still loses against Jotunheim and Ulm, and whether we get anything out of that additionally, right, or not, is kind of whatever. But hopefully that still happens. And then we have, we've purchased for ourselves 15, 20 turns to, get up more infrastructure, get more research under our belt, make an impact on moving into the late game, and then be able to actually do something about it. Be able to actually challenge someone, right? Like moving against Jotunheim at that point, or ending our alliance with Ulm and moving against them, or hell, even like if we're given enough time to build up forces of undead, of long dead warriors, of Supayas, of things like that, even potentially going after Pelagia, even though Pelagia is a 3-cap nation and has been a 3-cap nation since turn 35 or what have you, right? I think earlier than that, truth be told. If we're allowed 20, 30 turns to sit and get our feet under us and get to the point to where we have 20 plus Supayas per turn and 50 plus long dead per turn, and we've got all the research that we need to be able to fight underwater, it's still an uphill battle, don't get me wrong, right? But it's an option. It's a possibility. Whereas right now, we don't really have any real expectations of being able to truly fight somebody, right? So, feel bad about it, but that is that's the situation. Aside from that, I didn't really talk about this, but we are continuing to move. I say continuing to move. We are moving up other forces as well. Forces of Hatenruna. I talked about how Hatenruna were not going to be good raiders against someone like Vanheim, because Van can just go, oh, here is a basic geared thug, I will cloud trapeze onto these Hatenruna, and there, we're done, right? And they'll kill the whole stack, easy peasy. But that's not Ashdod. Ashdod does not have that capability, right? Like Ashdod, if they have a properly... Well, I say that. Ashdod, if they have a properly equipped thug, can totally still squish a stack of Hatenruna, but I'm not expecting them to be teleporting around or cloud trapezing around or anything like that. So the Hatenruna are potentially going to help us crack forts and make sure that we can continue to kind of like raid around this area and take what we need to take. So fingers crossed. All right. I am hoping that the next 10 turns or so are going to be very prosperous turns for us. Turns in which we gain a lot more territory basically for free. Fingers crossed, right? Turns in which we are able to play catch up in our research. Turns in which we are able to get infrastructure under our belt. And hopefully culminating in a entrance into the end game where we are not that far behind comparatively. due purely off of the back of luck and diplomatic choices, basically. That's the hope. Fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.